Okay, we're out on the lot today. This is Mike. Say hi, Mike.
How we doing, boys?
He is one of our newer hires in parts, and we're just doing a walk around out on the lot today, going through some planters, showing I guess kind of how they work and some of the wear components that we focus in on when customers come in and doing their beginning of season inspections. Just kind of some of the things he may see customers ask for. So we already kind of went through an Exactimerge meter, which I will put in my own little link kind of right here. So before I realized that maybe I want to record this for the old YouTube, we came out here and just started going through the meter itself. We started with our Exactimerge planter. We've got a fairly new one here that it's just easy to go through and start with, because it seems like this is what a lot of guys are going to, at least when they're buying new planters. So I wanted to make sure that Mike had a good understanding of this planter, and then we went back through some of the other planters, as you will see. But what we pointed out is this is your high speed or Exactimerge unit on the back here. So you've got your CCS tube that feeds seed into the mini hopper. So seed sits in there, and then it pulls down into this disc. We've got a vacuum line up here that helps with suction, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And if I flip this door open, I've got my disc back here. So if I pull this disc off, normally your seed would come from the hopper and pool all down in here. So talking through some of the wear items that he as a parts man might want to be familiar with is we've got our wear strips on the outside. These dimples are what indicate if they're good or bad. As long as we can see the dimple, it's good. And this is what the disc rides on, so that we're not eating into a nice housing over here. We've got two seals, one here on the inside, one here that goes all the way around on the outside. So as this is sealed and this vacuum line is put on, that vacuum is actually what pulls the seed from the pool into these little holes on the disc, and it rotates around and then drops into this brush belt. As it rotates around, you've got what's called a doubles eliminator here and here. And what that's doing is if you get two seeds stacked on top of each other because the vacuum is pulling too much in, this is going to help knock out the seed that's not properly aligned on the inside of the hole here, and then it should fall back down into the seed pool. Once it gets all the way around to the brush belt, inside this meter we have a knockout wheel right here. That knockout wheel kind of presses in through the hole, touches that seed, and breaks the vacuum seal, which drops it into the brush belt, and then it goes into kind of its next leg of traveling outside of the planter down into the ground. There's a wear strip, or a rumble strip I call it here. This technically gets swapped out. This is a green one. It's got the rough edges on it, so this is a corn strip. The new soybean strips are yellow and smooth, so guys have to switch this out from corn to soybeans. If they leave this in for soybeans, it'll become a smooth strip in like 10 acres. And it's just to encourage seed movement or discourage too much seed piling in. I'm not exactly sure what the right verbiage there is, but either way, it's important. So I'm going to pop that guy back down in. We do have some brushes that help keep the seed pool at bay so it's not coming around the back. We do have a little bit of a breather so it can suck in air for that vacuum. And then the knockout wheel actually stays in for all crop types. On older planters, you would switch the knockout wheel for a wiper on a traditional John Deere meter, I should say, be specific. Not so much in here. The Deere planters, you can leave this black knockout wheel in for corn and soybeans, which are prime planting products in this area. You've got a bowl style seed disc on a traditional planter. It's flat. This one is more of a bowl, so you can get more seed pool because you're bumped out there. This one is a 32 hole unit, so because it's 32 holes, that is going to be your corn unit. We actually have two 32 hole units. We've got one meant for large seed, and we have one designed for smaller seed that they came out with, I think 2 years ago already now. With this normal or the large size one now, they like large rounds seeds. where those other discs, if you're struggling with what we call singulation, which is if I'm putting 30,000 seeds into the ground, or if that's my target, if I'm actually putting 30,000 seeds in the ground, that singulation is a percentage of that number. So if you're having poor singulation and you're not getting close to 100%, like let's say you're mid 90s or really bad, low 90s, you could switch this bowl out to the other option and see if that helps with the singulation. No matter what, in a planter, when you're setting them up for the proper singulation, a consistent size seed is very important. Like if we have a lot of large seeds or a lot of small seeds, or variation from round size to flat size, it can be really hard to dial that in. But if it's consistent, it should just be a bowl swap, and then you can adjust the vacuum pressure as well to increase or decrease the seeds getting pulled into here. Got to be careful with it though. Not enough vacuum or having some adjustments in here not correct, such as our doubles eliminator not in the right position. You can put that seed in the ground, so you can have what's called skips, which is going to be, if my target is 30,000, let's say it's 29,000, well, I probably have a lot of skips at that point. On the flip side, if I turn this vacuum pressure up too much and my doubles eliminator is not aggressive enough, I can have what's called doubles, which is, instead of having one seed per hole, I can have 2 seeds per hole. If I put 2 seeds down in the same spot, that's a double. And then at that point, I've got 2 seeds fighting over the same nutrients, same sunlight, same water content, and they're not going to produce very well, or you might as well call them a weed at that point. So doubles are bad. Skips are not good either, because now you have lost potential in between your seeds, where a seed could have gone, and that's probably where a weed is going to pop up. So trying to get the best singulation is very, very important, and that all starts with having good components inside this meter, whether it's the seals, the knockout wheel, the bowls, or any of these components that we just kind of pointed out. That becomes extremely important to our customers, so it's extremely important to us. And now that we've effectively killed the video on the GoPro because we ran out of battery, now we're back to picking up where we left off with Mike. Okay, now that we talked about that, we're going to keep talking. So we're moving on past this, and we're talking about the brush belt cartridges themselves. Don't you fall. Okay, so the brush belt cartridges, if I pop this guy off, put that up there, maybe, good enough. So pull this back, I'm going to pull this up, see that tab right in there? Yep, so that's going to be the seed sensor. So go ahead and pull that off. It's going to be a real sucker to get off, or not, because you're tougher than I am. Go ahead and pull this whole thing out. And then let's take it over to the front of the tractor. Let's lay it on the weights. So flip it over. So go ahead and pop this cover off. So you got tabs, just like that. Grab that whole guy out. So this is the brush belt inside. This is what's going to do delivery, ouch, of the seed. So as it's coming around, it's going to pop in here. It's run by a second electric motor, flows all the way down here, and then it's going to kick out here. So a couple things that you're going to have in here. One, you've got your seed sensor. So this seed sensor is what's actually sensing what's going past on the seed. And then the glass is mainly what guys will replace. You can actually take the screws out of the back of it and replace just the glass, which is a little bit cheaper than if you had to do the whole sensor, because I don't remember how much the sensor is, but
probably not cheap.
It's not cheap. It's ridiculous. So you guys may come in every once in a while. Some guys like to have one on the shelf just in case of a failure. That way they have something. But that just slides in there. And then you've got all these little wear strips in here. These usually last quite a while, but if you get in sandier conditions or some grittier conditions, and that's just pulling stuff around, they can wear out. And when we're doing like a full meter rebuild, that's kind of part of this.
Replaced.
Yep. Go ahead and lift this up for me. On the back side, you're going to see a screw like that. So to detension it, it comes down like that, and then if you grab this whole thing and go push it in, so now that whole thing is pushed in, and then this brush belt will come out. Okay, so when it's not being used, we want to make sure that we hang them, because otherwise
That's how it's going to stay.
That's what happens.
If you lay it flat.
What kills these things is memory.
Yeah.
So, like this little bit that this one's seeing for memory, it's not going to kill it.
No.
But if you were to leave seeds in there, you're going to get divots. That could be a problem.
Stay there.
Yeah, and then you're going to get misread information in here, and the seed won't like grasp in there as well, and that can cause some problems. So either hang it on a pipe, you can leave it in the meter untensioned technically, or you can put them back in the boxes if you get new brush belts. But I like to put them on a pipe because that's what we've been doing since day one, and it works. I know it works, so that's what I encourage you guys to do. Yep. So just put it in. I mean, these little whiskers aren't going to fall in. That's fine, because once you get the whole thing in, we tension it, we'll rotate it, and everything will fall back in. This lower assembly, so there's a bearing in here, obviously, and a pulley. I've been told by the parts department when we had that last clinic, you can buy this whole lower assembly because it comes out here at the springs. This whole thing comes out, and you can replace the whole lower assembly cheaper than you can the pulley and the bearing. Don't know why that is, but
because Deere's make them as a kit and it comes out of the factory like that.
It could be. But go ahead and actually pop that belt out. Let's put this back in. So that just lines in just like that. And then I'm going to drop this guy back in. If you ever are out in the field, another thing that customers will accidentally do is, I'll just pop it in right there. So you see that silver tab? If that silver tab doesn't line up in there, then that will cause inaccurate readings. So I'm going to put that down for a second. Let's get you pushed back in. Okay, so that's pushed back in correctly now because we have the tab in, so now you can put your brush belt cartridge back on. Okay, so go ahead and lift it up. Rotate that, put the tension on it first, so that knob. Yep, there you go. Now go ahead and rotate it, and you'll see how the bristles, they go past. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. There we go. So those will all fall back into place. Go the other way because it comes down like this. Well, I'm a liar. That's not going to fall into place without the plastic on the top, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I usually just go like that.
Semi-good point.
Yep. Bottom section goes back on first. That's looking not cool. Go ahead and put your top one back on. So you're going to rotate it up like this.
Tabs in the back.
Down in. There you go. And then just work your way down. Click the first one. Yep. Bop, bop, bop. There we go. So we'll go ahead and put that back in. Point one thing out before we put it down in the row unit. I want you to take a look at these motors. So these motors are the same. So you've got a motor up here that runs your brush belt, and you've got a motor down here that rotates the meter itself. Other than the gearbox that's on the top, these are the same. We've never had to replace these. These have been out since 2015. We've got customers who are running these since 2015. If we've ever had to replace them, it's been because like it was bad out of the factory. And I think in Tractor Central's history, 5 would have been sold, and it's all been warranty work. So these motors,
the same.
Yeah. So these motors are super, super robust. We typically don't tell guys to keep one of these on the shelf because the failure rate is so low. There's no point in it. So you've got that. If you do look down in this shank, can you see? You can't see it there, but we've got a weigh pin right here. That's a downforce sensor. That's what this wire is here. So that's just sensing how much pressure we're putting down on the system to keep the row unit in the ground, because this one has hydraulic downforce. That's what you see up there.
What's pushing on it, telling the sensor that you're pushing down on it?
So when this is in the up position, these gauge wheels come up and they rest on that. They push up against that dog. So when they push up against it, it tells the system how much pressure is being put on them. And then with active hydraulic downforce, it's going to adjust to get a margin kind of number.
Regulated.
Yep. So those sensors, they were a problem back during the COVID era. But now we've updated the new sensors. They figured that issue out. But those are new. So IRHD or individual hydraulic downforce 2.0. There is a 1.0 version with an accumulator on the side. There's lots of those out there. If a customer comes in with a 1.0 version, they don't make the 1.0 versions anymore, so you have to put a 2.0 version on if you have an accumulator go bad.
Is there anything else we're updating with the 2.0 versus the 1.0?
A lot of it is, anything is all internally. There's no harnessing that I'm aware of. I'll have to double check. But it's just the accumulator gets swapped out. The nice part is we can mix and match them. So like if he's all 1.0 and he has one failure, well, he can put a 2.0 on just that row.
And the 1.0s can still operate.
Yep, 1.0 will still operate. The 2.0 runs alongside with it. They mesh together. They look a little bit different, act a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's all the same job. So, but that might be one that you will run into in the next couple of years, is if we have to replace one of those guys.
Just because they're so new.
Yep. This particular planter has exact shot on it, so that's what all this extra wiring harness is. And actually, if you look down on the bottom here, see how it has a spray tip?
Yep.
That's exact shot. So have you ever heard of exact shot before?
A little bit.
What is it?
Your liquid nutrients while you're planting,
So
rather than like laying dry nutrients in there.
So it's not necessarily dry versus liquid. It's we're spraying liquid just on the seed.
Oh, before it goes in the ground.
When it hits the ground. So you can do a 1 inch, a 2 inch, or a 3 inch dash over the seed. And normally on any other fertilizer system we would have, you would band liquid fertilizer. You'd just constantly be dribbling, like pouring water out of the bottom. With this system, we're only putting it on the seed. So the idea is you can save in between the seeds and not have to put down as much fertilizer.
Yep. So if that sensor doesn't see a seed, it's not going to spray.
Correct. And that sensor is this sensor.
Gotcha.
So it uses the same sensor to figure that out. When it passes there, it knows based off the speed, based off your seed, when it's going to come into the ground, and it knows how to spray on it, essentially. Low take rate so far. Not a lot of guys with that system out there. But the pump system on the back, that we do mess with a lot, so we will look at that yet today.
Like this is a little more experimental than...
Not necessarily experimental, it's just it's new enough, and the economy is kind of not in a great place that guys aren't making big investments in the liquid fertilizer side right now. It has the opportunity to save you a lot of money, but you have to go to Seed Star 5. Up here, there's a lot more than just like, hey, I want to hook a new planter up to my old tractor steps to make that happen. So it's just not everyone is ready for it. Okay, let's pop that cartridge back in. So you're going to put it down in. See how there's a hook in the very bottom?
Yeah, I can
so
see
you'll
the
have to
pin
catch that hook on the way down.
See the pin that it wants.
And push really hard. You're going to feel it clip in.
Actually?
Yep. Still nothing?
Break.
Oh. I think you're close.
I need to plug in before I push in.
I mean, unless you got little fingers, you might be able to get in there. Okay, now go down in. There you go.
I don't like that.
Yep, just like, that's the way they're built. And then that's going to pop back in, just like that. So then grab your green plastic shield up there. Pop that back on. Kind of not setting down in. So go ahead and pop your cover real quick. And then you're just going to spin that meter just a little bit to get the stars to align.
Yep.
Now you can go ahead and clip that back on. So the hose you're putting back on, that is the CCS delivery.
Okay.
So your seed's going to be up there in those big tanks.
Yep.
And then that has its own blower. Okay. And that will push seed through the tubes and back into the hopper here. So that's what's continuously feeding this planter. So you're blowing seed in and then you're sucking seed with the vacuum in the actual meter itself.
Good.
Yeah, just like that. Closing wheels, you've got airbag or spring. Okay. This one is an airbag system. And then closing wheels are always a topic of conversation because there's a million different closing wheels and there's no right answer. There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. but it all depends on what the operator wants. But these poly tooth ones, I believe these are yetters, seem to be the most popular around here. The twisters. That's the, see, he knows what he's talking about.
No, I don't.
The twisters are a lot more available around here.
As
That's
far as the spring downforce goes, is it adjustable back here?
Yeah, so you've got adjustments back here, and it's like 5 different adjustments, and we'll look at another one out here. These ones are adjusted from the cab. It's
on your monitor via air.
It's 0 through 5. Yeah, 0 through 5 on these. Your traditional spring is 0 through 4. So think of it as on these ones 0 through 4 is normal, and then if you have to go up to 5, that's a lot more on the closing wheels. We usually are running them we're not running them on the high end. We're running them kind of on the mid to low side. Because all this is doing is trying to close up the trench. You're opening the trench with the V in the front, you're firming down the sides with your gauge wheels, and then you're closing it with your closing wheels. So if you get too rowdy with it, compaction is going to be a problem. So, and then when our techs are out there working on these two, these have to be aligned straight, because with these teeth, especially at the high speeds, they can actually flick seat out if they're not set correctly. So they do have shims that come with them to get the spacing correct.
Openers, gauge wheels, and closing wheels.
Closing wheels. Your opener true V discs are right here.
Okay.
These are trash whips.
Or a Coulter disc.
Not Coulter disc.
Okay.
So these Coulter disc is different. This is just true V opener. So you've got 2 discs on either side, and they're going to come together, and this is what's actually cutting your soil and opening it up. These on the front are row cleaners, so think of that as you have debris in front of you, especially in a no-till situation.
It's going to kind of clean it up and get it out of the way.
Yep, you want to move the trench out of the way. You don't want a hairpin residue down in, so they're going to just be moving a little residue, maybe even just a smidge of dirt, just to make it so those true V's don't have an issue getting it opened up. Yeah. True V's, if they're half an inch worn, they're bad. That's all that you get out of them is a half
rock. You're done.
Well, it's not necessarily rock, because if you look at these, like they're hard, but like as they go round and round and round, they're gonna wear out just like a tire does. So you can get quite a few seasons out of them, but once they lose a half inch of diameter, they're bad. And your other indication is this bevel. See how there's a bevel right here? When that bevel's gone, yep, it's time to replace. You can still use them, but performance is going to be suffering.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep, that's what we preach to our guys. Questions on that guy?
Not necessarily. Can this stay up? Can your tail stay up? Whatever you consider this assembly?
The closing wheels?
Yeah.
They don't necessarily stay up. You always want contact on the ground with them. But you can apply minimal pressure to them just to make sure that it's moving dirt in. You do have bushings that can be replaced back here on these. Like we tell guys at the beginning of the season, pick up your planter, shake it around. If it's got no shake like this, you're good. Or like you pick up the whole row unit, because these have bushings in them too. So if they have a lot of shake, guys need to replace them. If not, run it another season. Arms, no, the shear bolts on these ones, because they have breakaways. So that if they catch on something, they can break away.
These are what go out diagonally,
not a V shape.
To support the planter?
No, not a V shape. Think of it as like if you don't have guidance on the tractor, you have to have an indicator to actually map out where. Yep. So like if I were to put a row marker out, if it's adjusted correctly, when I flip back around with the planter, the line that thing drug, that's where I should be centering the tractor. And that's going to get me like my perfect spacing on the sprayer. Exactly like a foamer on a sprayer. Yep, same mentality. But they exist on here. Some guys use them, some guys don't. But they do have the breakaways on them. You can see the pivot bushing here, so if they catch something, they can get away.
Where is the turbo?
It is. It's not that guy. I don't know. I'll have to ask.
I just feel like if you do have guidance, you don't need these. You're never going to use them. Take them off. It's just extra weight.
So you can order
them. You
them.
Want the extra weight.
You can order them without. If you order them without, you do have to hang suitcase weights out on the side. Keep the weight on.
Oh, that makes more sense. Then.
But
I mean, that's a lot of metal sitting there. 2 cylinders on it.
It is, but like for resale, guys like them, and some guys will still use them on the outer pass if they screw up on their GPS line. But otherwise,
it's a blanket.
it's there for if there were to ever be a GPS failure. But a lot of guys, like before GPS, you had to run it every pass. Now they're just there if you want them or need them.
That's good. I
get you. Okay. Liquid fertilizer system. This one's got a John Deere tank. We get a lot of tanks from L&D Ag too on different installs. They're gonna have filters in them. This one should have a filter. See, there's one up there on the clean water tank because there's a clean water, fresh water tank, which is a new option from Deere last year. But then you've also got a main
for your, what would you call it,
just liquid fertilizer in general. You can get the clean water tank. And then back here, you've got another filter right here. And this is your pump for the liquid system. So Deere has what's called exact shot, which is this one where you put liquid down on the seed. But then you also have exact rate, which is a pulsation system, which it's a higher end liquid system, but we see that a lot around here because you get turn compensation. Every 2 rows shut off with section control. There's a lot of opportunity there to kind of save fertilizer and still have accurate placement through the entire furrow. Otherwise, we got a traditional ground system over there. We will look at that one when we get done with this one. Really, as far as a parts perspective, filters are going to be your main concern on liquid fertilizer. On this one, it's going to be the tips for the exact shot if this were to ever get sold around here.
This is your blower for the seed?
Correct. That's your blower, and then you got there's a cooler on here too for your hydraulics because you are generating so much heat. Air compressor on the back. Air compressor should be drained yearly, but then technically on these air compressors, that filter on the top, Deere spec is to replace it every year. No one does that. And then there's also oil in the compressor too that's supposed to be replaced every year. No one does that either. But it's a spec in the book that doesn't always get done.
Lights? You see lights go out on plane as well?
Very rarely these new ones. Like, I don't think I've ever had a failure, or I've had, like, again, one out of the factory was bad or got damaged on transport. I've never seen an LED of this capacity fail. Yet. Never say never. Okay, so we hit the majority of the high-speed stuff. Talc powder. Do you know anything about talc?
I know I sell it.
Okay. Do you know the differences? Because we sell 2 different kinds. We sell straight talc and we sell 80-20 talc graphite mix. So your talc graphite mix you have to have on a high-speed planter because the graphite will lubricate. Yep, it lubricates the plastic components on the high speeds. You can run straight talc in a traditional planter, but we have seen a shift of more guys, even on traditional planters, using the 80-20 talc graphite mix because it just seems to lubricate better. When you're selling a guy talc powder, they say, I'm coming in for talc, ask him, do you need 100% talc or 80-20? Because at high speed, if you put straight talc in, that customer's gonna be very upset with themselves if they buy the wrong item. It's miserable when it happens.
Wheel shields?
Rock guards on the bottom.
They get up pretty good?
It's an option, usually not. Because you've got rock guards there, and then you got them technically here on the back as well. These are the ones that are going to bend, if anything. Yeah. These ones usually aren't a problem. You've got, well, I'm thinking about it. Motion sensor, where are you? Aha, right here. These are what are called a motion sensor. Yep. So on any planter that runs through a display, it is, but it isn't. So it's not speed, it's just looking for motion. So it needs to see motion from here. It needs to see speed from the plant or from the tractor. If it sees those 2 things, the meters will rotate. Every year, these will get damaged or they quit working and those need to be replaced. So if they ever ask for a motion sensor, that's what they're talking about. The tone wheel rarely gets replaced, but if you look at the tolerance there, see how tight that is to the tone wheel? That's why they break, because you get a chunk of, like, say you get some mud in there, it freezes overnight, pops that sensor right off. But those have been around forever. Okay, I think that's the majority of the important pieces on here. Shouldn't have to worry too much about anything on the tractor side. Yeah, there is a bushing kit too. If we have to, we had to get bushings for this one.
The front of the planter.
Yeah, for these, right. So right here, you can see that there's a bushing kit here. Technically, a customer could flip these around if they needed to, and you can get them down to be the correct category of what these are right out of the factory. We had to do it where there wasn't a forklift, so that was not an option. So we just did the bushing kit. Yep. But they've got that, and then color-coded grips are becoming more popular too when guys are spending money on the planters. Probably not this year, but when guys are like if they're buying a ton of parts there, they get a special on parts, they might spring for those color-coded hand grips. Makes hooking up a ton easier. Okay, so that's that. That's a high speed. Let's look at this other. Well, that's a high speed too, I guess. So I guess let's look at. So see how on the back, how it's got the dome. That's how you can tell it's a high speed, or if it says exact emerge. Okay. Let's pop one of these guys off though. This is going to be more of your, let's call it your standard speed or your low speed. So pop that. The box lifts completely up. Okay. And then that box is going to come completely up and off. Yep, just like that. And then just set it on the weight for now. So when you have a box planter like this is a 3 bushel box. So when it's a box planter, you get 3 bushel or 1.6 bushels. 1.6 bushel guys can add an extender on.
Are we talking bushel of seed or bushel of crop?
Bushel of seed. Yep. But then the meters are usually attached onto them.
What this one is?
This is going to be your flat plate style, which on this one, this has got precision planting. So that's not a Deere one, so we won't even look at that because we can't even get parts for that. They have to go to a precision dealer to get parts for that. But even on these ones, this one is chain drive. We don't have a pro shaft planter unless we have one in the back we'll go look at. But the seed tubes,
popular.
Yep, so on these ones, the seed tube goes down and they have a sensor on them as well. You can see kind of right there. Good. So that's how it senses like what seed is coming out of it. On this particular planter though, because it is a ground drive planter, it's just telling you what the seed is doing. It's not automatically adjusting the seed. You have to manually come back and either change your ground speed or change the transmission settings on it. But on these tubes, if we come all the way down here and look at the bottom, which might be kind of hard in the mud here. Yeah, you can't really see.
Is that your delivery?
So that's your delivery. They have a guard in front of them.
That little shield, that's
silver. Yep, that silver shield.
It's like a.
Yep, so that silver shield.
It's like a crow's beak.
Yep, the crow's beak protects it from dirt, rocks, debris. When those wear out, you start wearing into the plastic. Typically the guard is the same price as the seed tube itself. So you want to try and guys want to replace the guard before the tube goes bad. Otherwise, it gets super expensive for not great reasons. But we have seen sensors fail. We have seen guys have to replace the seed tubes because once the seed tubes wear, they get a hook on them. So when seed comes down,
it sticks in there.
Doesn't stick, but it hits that tip and then it bounces.
Goes somewhere you don't want it to be.
Yeah, it doesn't come down at its true trajectory because these tubes are designed at 4.5 miles an hour. When the seed leaves the meter, it should not touch a piece of plastic and it should just kick out the bottom. So if you're not doing 4.5 miles an hour, or if it has that hook on it from where, now it's flicking that seed as it comes around, so you're not going to, it could roll in the trench. If we're at a population where 6 inches is kind of the spacing we're looking for between the seeds, well, you could be 5.5, 6, next one could be 7.5. You're going to get lots of skips and gaps, which is not good for yield. So paying attention to those is vital. Dog system, it's different, but it's similar for that. And then your Downforce, this is your manual one that we were talking about before. So right now we're in the up position. there's no pressure on it, but you can go 1, 2, 3, or 4. Standard closing discs on this one, and these ones, they do have a spring in there. Those springs do break just from wear and tear, but when guys store it, we tell them to do exactly like that. Just put them in a neutral position where they don't have any pressure on them. That's what's going to save your springs. This one, we had hydraulic downforce on the last planter. This has manual spring downforce. So I think there's 4 different settings. So you have virtually none, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see kind of the notches that are down in there. Those springs can break, obviously. So if a customer has spring downforce, that's what they're referring to.
Your downforce is just dependent on soil type, how dry it is, how wet it is.
Yes, yes.
But like, is a guy like with this planter coming out here and adjusting this thing every 2 rows? You know what I mean? Because this field is usually going to be similar.
Well, most of the time when guys set these up, they're going to set them once and kind of forget about them.
Right.
If you're changing soil conditions, or if it gets really dry out, we encourage guys to get out and check it. Ideally, we'd have guys checking their downforce daily, because that's one of the more critical pieces, but it just doesn't happen because there's not a lot of time. Guys need to keep moving. And
seed in the ground.
Yep, you got to get seed in the ground. So most of the time you set it, forget it, you might check it again. But that's where like the active systems are nice, because you can just adjust them from the cab or have the margin set in place. These ones, though, they should be getting checked more frequently than they do, but I've got to be a realist. They're probably not getting checked every day. Yeah, here you got your grease points on your gauge wheels. Those are supposed to get greased daily. They do not. So that can be a maintenance item if guys need parts for that. This one, we walk around to the back here real quick. So there's your transmission for your seed. So this is 100% a manual planter. So ground driven.
By those wheels.
Yep, by these wheels. So every once in a while, guys will have to replace this tire because it gets weather checked, weather rotted.
Same one we put on an X350.
Looks very similar to it. Diameter does matter.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they have to put it back on, otherwise your speeds get all whack.
Yeah.
Inflation matters too for that same purpose, because we see guys who are like, oh, my population's all off of what's your pressure out of the tire.
Yeah.
It's probably flat.
Yeah.
And that's going to cause an issue. But they got different numbers on here and different gears in the transmission. So they can look at that, look at their owner's manual, and it'll tell you like at such a speed, you're gonna put it on sprocket 26 and sprocket 24, and that's the target population that you're gonna try to get, and they can adjust accordingly.
But any average Joe could probably figure this out, correct?
With the manual, yes, they can get that figured out. But should be lubricated every once in a while.
Definitely gonna be selling a lot of chain this spring.
You might. Sometimes those break. And then on this one too, you're a spring or you're a chain delivery to the row units. You can have chain delivery or pro shaft on a system like this. Pro shaft is the more popular. Chain is kind of the old school way.
An actual drive shaft that does that?
Yeah, we'll see if we have one in the back. I'll point out pro shaft, but then now we've got a liquid system here too, another ground drive system.
I think this is a big deal. Red ball.
Yes, red ball systems. That is not a John Deere product, but that is the only way, like on this planter, because it's so manual, that's the only way you'd be able to tell if you have flowing. Yep, because the red ball systems,
maybe it's like a rate.
Yeah, it's just tracking what your rate is doing. So if you look,
identifier.
Yep, so if you look on the actual plastic themselves, see how they have numbers on them?
4, 5, 6.
Yep, so as they're fluttering up, that's what's going to tell you how things are running. So the idea is like they should all be somewhat uniform.
Is air
across
just getting sent to those?
Well, so that pump is what's driving it. So you prime the pump with liquid,
Okay.
and then it runs everything. And whenever you put the planter down and engages the tire, then it starts pumping the water. So it can airlock, but once you get it, it's like any other liquid system. Once you get the air out of it, you shouldn't have to mess with it. It's literally a flow gauge. Though, so like let's say 3 gallons an acre, or 3 gallons an acre is your target. They should be across the board. If you have one drop and it's lower than the rest, you probably have a tip plugged up, or you have an orifice plugged up that you have to take care of. They do have orifices on these,
but we don't make that.
No, we sell the parts through like L&D Ag, or we can order them in from another company. But yeah, that's not a John Deere product. but there's
Why
a
didn't
lot of
John
them out
Deere
there.
want to put that on their planters
When it comes
when
to
these were in production?
when it comes to liquid systems, sometimes it comes with it, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
Like a lot of times from the factory, you're gonna get an Amazon truck that's dragging a taillight.
Squirrel!
You can hear it.
Nice. Go Amazon, go. Honestly, don't know why, but like on newer ones, it
just seems like one of those things they eventually update to, you know. I'm just like, hey, this is what we're gonna.
They do. Well,
it's
it's all digital now. It's all on the displays. Like
Well,
on the
yeah,
new
that
ones,
makes
it's individual sensing, but on these old ones, that's just the kit that was the bee's knees. And we still put them on.
And what
new
generation is this one?
This is a 72, or no, this is a 1760. So I think this is mid 2000s, early 2000s, something like that. I'll have to double check. Okay, we can go ahead and pop that back on here.
Jacks, is that a popular thing?
Can be.
Somehow that one's still on there.
Can be.
I feel like guys break those all the time.
Yeah, they can be, or they can be real nasty tongue grabbers if you're not careful.
Hookups for a planter, are they all universal? Are we?
They're all going to be hydraulic. They just go in whatever hydraulic end that you need it to go in. The electric planters get a little bit more specific because you have to have that generator, which is actually hanging on the back of that one, so we can go check that out. And then,
just walked into the back room and it was
yeah, the one probably from this one. Yeah, well, I'll show you that on that on that planter. Let's throw that box back on here. Good questions. Yep, so it just kind of hooks on these bushings. Yep, perfect. Go ahead and latch it on. There is an electric clutch that can be added to these things for section control. This one does not have that. Okay, let's wander up here.
I opened on this one and the other ones were closed.
Different style. Just these are cruisers, so you can see just a different brand. These are copperheads.
But I'd assume those holes are doing something.
Well, the idea of it is that they don't pack. So like you see on this planter too, how there's holes in the ear. You can see
fill that rim up with shit.
Yeah, like in really tacky conditions, clay can grab onto it, or like if rocks were to be getting into the side of it, it just lets stuff pass through. It's just a different really design. It's not. Some guys like it, some guys don't care for it. Just different options. Loose load! Squirrel! So on planter like this, there's that ePTO. That just goes on the PTO stub, and then it has an anti-rotation bracket on it. The plugs are already on the planter. Most of our basic planters, you're gonna have a couple different hydraulic hoses. So like this one is, you've got up and down on the planter, markers, vacuum, and then on this one you've got power beyond and return. So power beyond and return is you're always running hydraulic pressure through these plugs, or through these ports, whatever you want to call it. That's your hydraulic downforce usually on these ones. And then liquid system, if you have, like on that last one we were looking at. And then you have a case drain too, so you're trying to protect the vacuums as much as you can.
I assume these take more power to run than...
Not necessarily more power, but let's call it less restriction, because this is going to run whatever the pump is running on the planter. That's what's going to be passing through these. Technically through an SCV stack you can restrict flow, or at wide open on a 0 through 10 you're going to get max flow, but you're still going to have some restriction because you're just passing through more components. These are absolutely no restriction. Whatever that pump is putting on the tractor, you're getting full power right now. There's no way to shut it off without shutting the tractor off.
Correct.
So fun fact, when the power beyond hose pops out halfway and starts shooting oil, a lot of oil comes out really fast. Ask me how I know. Oh man.
Do we make those motors?
John Deere does, but we've never really had to mess with anything with them. They've been very good to us. They do have high guard in them, like 17 ounces or something ridiculous. Recommended to be changed every year. And then you see how the back part is bolted on? That's technically the alternator. The front is the gearbox. Split them. The splines need to be greased when they go back together, and that should be done once a year as well.
How much power does it take from your PTO to run that generator?
Idle.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a lot at all.
Not a lot at all. On these newer tractors, with load sensing, they can actually run you can run them at an idle. On some of the older planters, you had to actually rev them up a little bit just to get the speed out of them so that the planters were happy. But no, I fire this tractor up right now, turn the PTO generator on. It's live.
Wow.
This one has exact rate on it. So see these nozzle bodies up here? So instead of exact shot, this is that exact rate system I was talking about. So you got two lines coming out of it.
Which is more of your standard rather than the exact.
This is, so exact shot, highest of the high.
Right.
This one, second highest. And then when you get down to like a normal hydraulic system or a simpler hydraulic system, that's going to be either a hydraulic drive or a ground drive.
Is that a 24 row?
That is a 12 row.
12 row.
And this is a 12 row as well. But on these particular ones, you've got these plungers on the side. These are PWM valves. So they are running back and forth, and that's what's controlling your rate versus the pressure that's in the system.
That's the pulsation you were talking about?
That's the pulsation. You've got sensors on each side, and then your lines feeding to them, so they'll shut off 2 rows at a crack. This system and that system requires a special, not a special RV antifreeze when we winterize. So normally in a liquid system, you would just use regular RV antifreeze, like you can pick up down a quick trip. These ones need a special
Is that our
value.
sprayer fluid?
Yeah, it's like
winterizer?
blue. It's
Yep,
blue.
Yep.
These need to have that because, like, even when the way it was explained to me is when RV antifreeze freezes, it doesn't truly freeze to a solid if it's mixed correctly, but it can turn to a slush.
Yes.
And that slush is what's hard on these components.
Yep.
Where whatever antifreeze we sell is
does not freeze at all.
No,
Stays
or
liquid.
if it slushes, it doesn't slush to the point where it can damage the
Correct.
components. Because we've seen guys not winterize these correctly, and these all bust to hell.
Yeah.
It's like $800.
Think about it, your antifreeze is turning into a crystal almost.
Well, it's expanding and turning into an ice.
Yep.
These are like $800 a piece when they break,
Ouch.
and they all have software, so it's not like you can just slap a new one on. They have to have the capabilities, or a technician has to have the capabilities to update the software on it. So it's not just a quick switch her out and we're ready to rip again.
Right.
And it's $800 a piece on a 12-row planter times 6. It gets really spendy really fast.
So most of the time you guys are providing that for our customers. It's not like a customer's going to come in and say, hey, I need this, and then go home, call you and say, now I need it calibrated.
Usually, yeah, if you're selling across the parts department,
Just
like the service department is one that'll get involved with that, yeah. Because some guys what they'll do is, like, these have different software packages. You can have one sitting on the shelf with the same software, so you can do more of a correct swap.
Right.
But you still have to, in the computer on the tractor, tell it where it's at and place where everything is at. It has to synchronize itself. But then if we update the software on the planter and then forget about the one in the box sitting on the shelf, well, then time to replace. Well, we're in the same boat again.
Yep.
So it's kind of a one way or another type deal.
Took the plug.
Just keeps out stuff. So this is how your vacuum so just that sits right there.
So when you fold out, that's getting sandwiched somewhere?
Correct. Yep, it sandwiches right there. And then that's how we're delivering.
I see.
That's how we're delivering the vacuum pressure to all these on the outside. So yeah, like right now, if we were to turn the vacuum on, only the back 4 are going to get pressure. Yep. And it's going to be weak pressure. That fan's going to be screaming a million miles an hour. But then we sell the plugs because in the wintertime, don't want no mice in there, no birds making nests in there. Plug it up, pop it out, ready to go again. This unit has implement guidance on it. So we sell these masts that go in front of the CCS, so we can put a second GPS receiver on the front. You get a couple different technologies out of it, like AutoPath, which is like documentation of the individual rows.
Rather than documentation of the planter itself.
Correct. So when you come back with a planter, you know where the rows are at. You can lay guidance lines down. And you get rid of the passive shame where you only have 1 row of corn that you have to spray, and you're not running it down as much because you know when to turn. And then you also get implement guidance. So passive implement guidance on these is you have a receiver on the planter, receiver on the tractor. So say you're on a side hill, what happens to this planter on a side hill? Well, it naturally wants to go down the hill, right? So since that's wanting to drag down the hill, since we have a receiver there, the tractor will drive up the hill to keep this at perfect 30-inch spacing in between each row. Especially around here in the side hills, that tractor will off steer 14 inches at times.
Wow.
Like it scratches quite a bit to keep it off the hill.
Be up on the hill, this thing will say, hey, we're going to start moving soon, and that'll say, all right, we're going to pull you up so you don't move at all.
Yep.
Interesting.
Kidney loop
controller.
That is one of the controllers. There's a few on here. Kidney loop hose may be one that you're going to sell as well. So on the end of these planters, you've got these little nipples, and that's at the beginning of the season. Guys are supposed to be hooking onto it and just making sure that there's air is bled out of the system.
Okay. These are just bleeder valves.
Just bleeder valves. So it's like you get a jumper hose that just goes from here to here, and then it's supposed to run for 5 minutes with a hydraulic turned on to flush any air through them. Sometimes when guys buy in planters from out of state, don't buy them from us, that hose is missing. And then we either have to build one or we have to get them one. So if anyone ever says kidney loop hose, it's not typical hydraulic fittings. There's special connectors that have to go on here. They have to look up in the parts book if you're building them yourself. We've had to build them. It was a year or two ago. We had to build like 3 of them because we couldn't get the hoses from Deere because there was a shortage. So I don't know if we
that was COVID era though. Everything was a shortage.
Yeah, I don't think it was just outside of COVID era. I don't remember what there was a problem. I don't remember what the issue was, but either way, if someone says kidney loop hose, this is what we're referring to. It's a bleeding procedure.
Okay.
Just chucked a lot at you. What questions you got?
Here.
That is for your blower, so the CCS in the tanks. That's that pressure that we were talking about.
What does CCS stand for?
Central Commodity System. So on the new, I think it's on the new planters, it's a tote of seed will fit in each side.
Okay.
These older tanks, like this one, you can't quite get a full tote in each side, so that's why those boxes over there look different than this one. But then, like your pressure, you have to adjust depending on how light or heavy the seed is. Most of the time you set it once and forget about it. There's a spec in the book that I'm forgetting off the top of my head that you set it to, and once it runs, you just kind of let it go.
See these somewhere.
So this is your seed delivery from, so think of it as you're pressurizing this, and then this is what's pushing your seed through. This is what...
Open those and check it.
So it's not a check, this is how you dump the seed at the end of the season. Or if you have to empty out for some reason. So that drops down every 2 rows. Once these things drop, you're in it to win it because there's no way to stop that seed and shut it again. So you have to, when you do that, like I said, you're in it to win it. Or you can do the
smaller one.
The slow way. But yeah, when guys are draining out at the end of the season, that's what they're doing. Other way. There you go. Yeah. These planters do too. Every once in a while, you got to sell these antennas. That antenna. So that's for our equipment mobile app. We can, on these electric drive planters, do a row runoff on these row units to check that singulation we were talking about earlier. You can do a row runoff before we even hit the field and figure out another one dragging.
No, it's the same guy.
Frickin' Amazon.
Anyway, sorry. Singularity.
We're good. But you can do row runoff, so you can like run off row number 1. Is it running 100% singulation before we even hit the field? Yes. Okay, we move on to row 2. Row 2 is running at 92% singulation. Okay, well, let's figure out what's wrong with the meter before we even hit the field. The idea is doing proactive service or maintenance or whatever you want to call it, adjusting on it. So when you get to the field, you can just worry about planting and setting. You don't have to worry about how the meters are doing. So that's going to be on the high-speed electric drives. And we also have a standard electric drive planter, which is more meters similar but not identical to those. And that's what we can do that with those systems as well.
2 different tread patterns. Wow.
Because that's probably what the tire guy had. Honestly. Some guys are picky on tires. Some guys just say throw something on there. I don't care. I need to roll.
I get you.
Let's walk to the back here and see if there's a planter back there. We can point some other stuff out on. Okay, but this one, so this is more of your traditional CCS with the standard. This is still vacuum drive or vacuum delivery, whatever you want to call it. But then if you look,
not high speed?
This is not high speed. This is a 5-mile-an-hour standard planter. But if you look in the side here, this is more of what you're familiar with, like those flat discs we were selling. Those go in here.
These
but
meters, I've worked with Mike on some of these meters.
Yeah, but same principles. You've got You've got rubber on both sides for your seals.
Yep.
You've got wipers in here as well that kind of keep the seed pool at bay. Your doubles.
So this whole hub is spinning.
Yes, this whole thing goes like this, just like that.
Okay.
Oh, this is a 5E planter.
And that's a stationary brush rather than, or is the brush in here?
Nope, there is no brush belt on this one. So this has the same tube as that 7200 or that 1760 we were looking at. So a standard speed,
Seed
electric
tube
drive or
down
not,
there.
is going to have the standard tube, but then anything high speed will have a brush belt,
Gotcha.
which is only one unit. That's the big dome ones. Sure. It doesn't have a big dome on the back of it like a turtle shell.
Yep.
It's a regular speed tube. But this one, this is where those flat discs come into play.
Yep.
And then on this one, you've got a wiper, and instead of a knockout wheel, you've got a wiper or a different or a knockout wheel that goes in here. The wiper is for beans, knockout wheels for corn.
Okay.
So that does need to get swapped out every
star pattern very similar to that other one?
Yep.
Wipers for beans.
Yep. And then the knockout wheel is for corn. Doubles eliminator is here. So you can adjust the aggressiveness without actually having to pop it open like we do on the other one.
What happens when a double goes in the ground?
It's just two seeds planted side by side.
Right. Are they freaking each other out? Are they
poor yield because you're got two seeds fighting for the same food or nutrients, let's call it.
Yeah.
And your worst case scenario is neither of them generate because they choke themselves out.
But if they do generate, they emerge.
Now they're both
fighting
yield.
for sunlight.
Yeah, it's a poor situation. So we want to eliminate doubles and we want to eliminate skips as much as possible, and that's where that singulation number comes from.
Is there a difference in efficiency between that eliminator and the high-speed eliminator?
Just the high speed is meant for high speeds. They both do a good job. Okay. This one has an electric drive meter on the back of it, which you can see right there. So that's got that same electric motor on the other ones.
Yeah.
So we have individual shutoffs and turn compensation with these electric motors. Otherwise, like if it was a pro shaft system, you'd have a shaft coming off of the off the frame here, and then there'd be like a little 90-degree gearbox in there with 2 wires going into it, and that's got an electric piston or electric clutch, whatever you want to call it. Turns it on, turns it off, tells it when to stop turning.
As far as seed sensor goes, is it the same concept? It's
so
integrated into the eliminator?
Nope, so it's not in the eliminator.
The other one was on the cartridge. Obviously, we don't have a cartridge on this.
Nope, this one's got a... So, let's pop that off.
Gotta pop the clutch off.
So it's got the same seed tube. There's your same seed sensor down in there.
So guys are going to be asking me for these.
Yes. Potentially, and you can replace the sensor.
Is that seed tube the exact same size and everything? It'll fit in that planter over there, the 1760? Probably not.
Maybe not 1760, but like they're like in
anything
eras, they're the same. So I don't mess with that kind of older planter as often. Right. I know enough about them to be dangerous, but I won't claim to be a super expert in them.
Right.
But yeah, so your clutches disengage like that, engage. They can go bad on the electric drive clutches when it is like a pro shaft drive. We do sell a couple of them every single year. Okay, should be down in. Okay, that's good. Bigger seed pool on the slow speed. You have a bigger kind of little box on the back, but you're also down here, you hold less seed, where on the high speeds you have a bigger seed pool against that bowl, and then that makes up for having lack of, that's better, the lack of size that you have up here.
As far as seed per acre, give me like some rough numbers on this one versus the high speed versus the 17.
They're all going to be the same capabilities, but like on corn around here, anywhere from 30 to 34,000 seeds an acre. Soybeans, 110 to 140 seeds an acre.
Which you can do with all 3 of these.
Yes.
What's up with this?
It was a fertilizer delivery system. And that's what that is down here too. So you can see here, this is banding it along the side of the shank. That other system was going down in the furrow. And that's where I'm not an agronomist. I'm not going to tell a guy what they need to have set up, but if they tell us I want to put fertilizer on the side, or if I want to put it in the band and this is what I want to put, we can deliver that for them. Put you back on. Okay. That's all the planters we kind of got right now.
L&D
But-
sells tanks, but we sell tanks as well, I understand.
Well, so John Deere used to only sell such a big tank on a 12-row. It was like 300 gallons, I think, or 250. L&Ds, you could go up to 500, I think this one is.
Wow.
Technically, it voided the warranty on the bars, but guys wanted more liquid because they were running out of liquid faster than they were seed. And they were wanting to be 1-to-1 or be able to carry a little bit more. They didn't want to screw around with filling all the time. So then they were putting the bigger tanks on from L&D because L&D, they don't care. Deere just didn't put the big tank on because warranty concerns. Well, now it's not near as big of an issue because L&D's been doing it for so many years now. Deere's like, oh, we can put 450 gallons on the nose too. No big deal.
How do you fill tanks?
Pipe.
Big grain on it?
No, are you talking these? A seed tender, yep. Yeah, seed, it's a special, like you set the tote up on the top where you can dump the seed into a bin, and then it's got a little auger that goes up there. Or these big totes, they have like floors in the bottom of them, so like if you have a skid steer or forklift, you could lift it up over the hole, pull it out. Otherwise, it's bags. We throw a lot of bags during demos too, because guys will just have like 6 bags of seed corn that they'll throw in and between the two sides.
Isn't us.
What's that?
That Martinville is not us.
Nope, that's aftermarket. These ones have precision clean sweep adjustments on them. So like it's an air adjust system, but it's done by a different company, which is simple. That's fine. The ones that were up there, those were airbags by Deere. So sometimes we got to replace airbags because things happen. Overstretch, puncture.
Just have the sun too long.
Nah, it's not usually sun issues, just weird shit happens. I mean, what other questions you got? I know I just rattled through a lot of them.
A billion, but that was a good rundown.
I hope that was something for you. Where is that?
It's there's nothing about this job that's gonna be. Oh, yep, I got it now. You know.
Oh, absolutely. It all happens in time.
I just gotta
That's
get
gonna
screamed at by some farmers, and
yeah, that'll happen. I've been called an idiot lots of times, and won't be the first, won't be the last.
no, that's what I'm saying. So
Thick skin, man. Like
everything
people,
will come in time.
whenever people are coming to see us when it's planting season, they're not having a good day. So
No,
yeah,
definitely.
they might beat us up every once in a while,
I get
but it's just the
Well,
stress
we're
of the
here
season. Well, we're not here to be a punching bag.
No,
we are here to help.
but-
it happens. You just take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Most guys have good intentions. Most guys are happy. It's just we're catching them on bad times.
Yeah.
Cool.
Until next time.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you guys got something out of that too. Say bye, Mike.
Adios.
See you on the next one.